Bring the whole family together for a warm, delicious meal this holiday season. Strachan Van Til has everything you'll need to satisfy their cravings. Just in time for Thanksgiving, we are carrying an incredible variety of fresh, frozen, organic, and even locally farmed whole turkeys that will truly make your mouth water. With meat so tender and juicy, this will be a meal they won't forget. Life made simple, meals made easy. It's a Strachan Van Til thing.
If you work with industrial, pneumatics, or hydraulics, and you're in need of maintenance or repair, you need the right connection. For over 20 years, Hose Connections in Hammond has been the premier leader in the hydraulics industry. Hose Connections is a one-stop shop for sales and service of pneumatics and hydraulics. Hose Connections continues to grow their network of industry contacts, which allows them to meet even your toughest expectations. To learn more, visit HoseConnectionsInc.com. Hose Connections in Hammond. Proven under pressure.
Hello, everybody. Welcome on. It is halftime for most games, so you know what time it is. It's the Hose Connections halftime report presented by Hose Connections, connecting the first and second half to some of these games. You got two games on the Region Sports Network. One game's at halftime. One game is, as some of these games have been so far, fellas, it's been kind of lopsided. I'm Mike Dewan here. Alongside me is Michael Bradner, Jimmy McCormick. Fellas, you guys have been down here a little bit more than I have, but we got, obviously, a lot of points are being proven here tonight from what we know.
Yeah, Host Connections halftime report proven under pressure, by the way. There
you go.
I gotta do it.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Also, Mike Dewan, our sports director, gets his own box because he's a sports director. So he gets his own little box on the screen. He's special.
Come on now. You already know. I walk down here. I jump on the crew for the halftime show. I am absolutely gifted down here, especially to be with you fellas.
We're having all the fun down here tonight. But yeah, I mean, we were thinking, I made the comment earlier, Jimmy, how like in a night like this, you got sectional championships. You're thinking you're really getting kind of the cream of the crop by this point, but we're seeing a handful of blowouts in this one. Some teams yet to score in these games.
Yeah, a lot of lopsided matchups, and it's got to be, most of it is credit to the teams that are doing the blowing out. They're doing such a good job executing, like we said about Crown Point and the way they've been tackling. Maribel's kind of done the same thing on their defensive end, have been really sound on tackling things like that. Andrain's defense has been top-notch for weeks. And they're shutting out Bremen now, and they've shut out, I think that's now 3 or 4 opponents in a row, or 4 of the last 5. They've done some really impressive stuff so far, and it's kind of happening all over the place.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some Crown Point highlights here for you, brought up by Justin Cole. There's one of the first touchdown of the evening for the Bulldogs, and it has been a rout so far. 5 touchdowns in this one. Here's number 2 to put it up to basically a 14-0 ball game. We were saying this in our RSN zone in the first half, Mike. It's a little surprising that the score is what it is as we get to the 3rd touchdown of the evening for the Bulldogs. And then the tackle after the crossing of the goal line there.
And Jay and I talked about it yesterday on Region Football Weekly, and Crown Point being a team that is, of course, they're very talented, but they're also a team that, again, these starters haven't played 4 quarters, and as we're seeing so far, now up 35-0 with less than a minute to go in this game, they haven't played for all 4 quarters, and kind of course, these starters are healthy, but Jay kind of posed a question, which I totally get, is the endurance there? And right now, obviously, it's not a problem they have to face quite yet, but it's, again, this team is just, it's a Penn team that's going through a lot of rebuilding. Obviously, you look at the score, and of course, Crown Point's very good, but Penn's an 8-2 record as well. I mean, they're still a very solid squad over there. Crown Point, though, I mean, it's just week in, week out, they find ways to do it.
Well, one of the questions I have is, you talk about the endurance, and Jay makes a good point. I was kind of making that point last year on broadcasts as well,
sure.
And one of the things that kind of stuck in my mind, and I realized that it was a great run for the Crown Point Bulldogs, and I don't want to spoil any of that party, but you were a couple of fingertips away from not even gotten through regionals if you're Crown Point. I mean, they blocked two extra point, or right. They blocked an extra point kick and a field goal. Right. So with even 2 of the, or if that field goal gets through, like this isn't the run that we're talking about for Crown Point.
I mean, this is a team that I think is on a mission. They really, really want this one bad, and obviously they made a lot of noise last year. They made a lot of history. Of course, their first state appearance in school history. But I don't think any coach wants this more than Coach Buzia as well. He's had some second-place finishes. He wants this one really bad, and it's obviously showing with his kids. I mean, it's hard to believe this team is putting up this much better of a season as, again, this game has gone final now. But this is a team that they lost a lot last year in terms of talent, but this team could still arguably be better, we could say. They're performing at, I'd say, a much higher level through now, again, the sectional championship round.
Yeah, they're playing some unbelievable football. I know from obviously experience that they played well in that sectional round a year ago,
right?
But totally different opponents now. Right now, that Penn's in sectional 1, so they're facing that regional opponent from a year ago in sectional 1, and obviously, as you said, Penn in a little bit of a different place than they were a year ago, but they did an awesome job of taking care of business tonight. 35-0 win. They just running clocked another phenomenal team, and next week's going to be a tough matchup. It should be a good one for them, whether it ends up being Fort Wayne Carroll or Fort Wayne Snyder. Should be exciting football to watch next week in that regional matchup.
But the big thing is they will be at home, I think, to our knowledge. I believe because they're sectional 1. I think because they're on the road. Obviously, that game's gone final now, so they punched their ticket to the regionals, and they're going to be back at the Dog Pound. That's going to be a fun environment, but it's also, again, as we kind of see here, when you have to get on a bus, go wherever, especially in the regional rounds where teams aren't so close to each other, teams are going to start out flat, and that's a tough place to play.
Crown Point gets the win 35-0. We kind of joked before we were getting on that we were going to give you final scores before we give you halftime scores, and that's exactly what we're doing because there are some finals already here at this point in the evening here on the Hose Connections halftime report. So Crown Point improves to 11-0 on the season and will face either Fort Wayne Snyder or Fort Wayne Carroll in that regional championship next week. And you got Snyder that was is the defending 5A state champions, and then obviously Fort Wayne Carroll last won a sectional title back in 2022. Another final to mention, the Railroaders of Garrett got the win for the first time since 2016, a 21-20 victory over West Noble, who was looking for they were looking for their first sectional championship in program history, and to be 1 point away, or 2 points away in essence, that's got to be a little bit tough, but good job for the Railroaders who will continue their undefeated season.
Hey, we got another team that's knocking on the door for their first sectional title on the Region Sports Network. Obviously, of course, though, at this time, again, a lot of history's made. Again, trophies are to be handed out, to say the absolute least, and some teams, again, it comes down to a player or two. It's the heartbreaking time of the year, of course, for athletes, for coaches, and just for teams in general.
Well, at the halftime, as you mentioned, Mike, Chesterton and Valpo, that's one of the games we got right here on the Region Sports Network. They are all knotted up at 15, and we got a highlight for you there. Berta just bouncing through like a pinball machine and getting his way into the end zone, as he so often does here in 2024. And then, of course, Julian Stokes on the pass, getting that one.
Oh, yeah. I knew Justin would take care of us. There's
that was
pitch.
We were getting excited on that one down
sick.
here.
That was awesome.
Little hook and ladder. Their passing game, man, it's looking good now.
Yeah, they made some plays here in the passing game, especially in that last 2 minutes where they got those 2 touchdowns. To tie the game up. They showed some really big strides in that passing game because early on, even in the first quarter, it didn't look like they had the way Valpo's defense was playing and kind of setting things up, and then all of a sudden they find their way in the end zone twice.
Well, the crazy thing, Mike, is when we had that touchdown that was about the touchdown to be within a score, that was with like 128-7, 132 left to go in the half, and then Chesterton ties it with 90-something seconds left to go, within that 90 seconds. So
sure.
Maybe just a little bit of a breakdown on the Valpo side, or just extra comeuppance for the Chesterton Trojans, because they want. I got to imagine that from the regular season, they want to get a little bit of vengeance on the Vikings.
I mean, that was a brutal loss. Again, the game that was decided on the Philly special. They're at that same field, but again, they're more so. They want to make some history, a sectional championship that they are still ever so deprived of. And this was a team, again, we kind of talked about it, but it was pretty shocking. They were a 2-win team last year, and all of a sudden have played their way now, tied up with Valparaiso going into the second half, and they've obviously made plenty of plays in that second quarter to put themselves in this position.
So they will get the winner. The winner of that game will get the winner of Maryville and Morton. And at last look, Maryville was up 48-7 on the Morton Governors. The Governors had a great run from 2009 2012, getting four sectional titles, but the Maryville Pirates have won 5 in a row going into tonight, so they are looking for number 6 and in good position to get that.
Yeah, it ended up being a 48-14 game right at half. Morton got a very late score there.
Okay, all right.
At the end, yeah, but I think you might have just barely missed it. It honestly happened just kind of out of nowhere, too. A couple big plays got him down there. But, yeah, all Maryville there over at the Governor's Mansion. It looks like we should have a Maryville matchup and a Duneland matchup there in that regional for 5A.
Yeah, we're excited for it. And again, with Morton's sake, I mean, this is a team with a lot of playmakers. They pump out guys to the next level like no other. But Maryville, again, as they always seem to kind of be, especially in their sectional, obviously winning now 6 straight,
right,
which is one of the longest active streaks, I'd say, up here in the region. They just continue year in, year out. The better team kind of always in that sectional, and obviously it sets them up for potentially a regional run, and they're trying to get over that hump kind of in the semi-state, but got to get there first.
We have a final in the Snyder-Carroll game. Carroll will win 21-10.
All right, so Fort Wayne Carroll getting the win, as Justin Cole just relaying to us, 21-10, so it will be Crown Point against Fort Wayne Carroll. Carroll last winning a sectional title in 22. So it's been a couple years, but they are back in a regional championship matchup against the defending regional champs, the Crown Point Bulldogs.
Yeah, it was kind of a shocker to people last year when Carroll did not win their sectional. To kind of continue to advance. I don't know if it was the sectional round or the regional round, but a lot of folks thought that they were going to find a way to advance last year, and they fell just short. So, they found a way to win it this year, and they'll get their matchup with Crown Point at Crown Point.
All right, I'm just going to run through a couple of scores real quick before we get out of here because we got other games to keep an eye on. Over in Sectional 1, these are all last updates. North Judson was up 32-0 over LaVille. The Taylor Pioneer game, Taylor was up 15-6. At my last update, Andrean was up 28-0 in the third. You have Lafayette Central Catholic up 46-6 over North Montgomery. We've got Knox 12-0 over Mishawaka Marion, and then of course Garrett West Noble went final. Garrett getting the win 21-0. New Prairie is up at the half 14-10. That's one we can talk about a little bit later on in the evening as well. Northwood was up on Mishawaka, the Cavemen 21-14, and I believe that was all that we've covered. I want to give a shout out Jake Felton tuning in. He's giving me some grief. He's a big Michigan guy. I'm a big IU fan, so we're having some fun tomorrow. He's also letting me know that I got to get to bed soon because we got practice in the morning.
Oh.
So I'll be there, Jake. Don't worry. We'll see which one of us gets there first. How about that?
There you go.
But you've been tuned in to the Host Connections halftime report. Mike, anything else we need to get to before we get out of here and start watching some more? We'll have RSN Zone for the second half, and then we'll still have Region Football wrap-up in just a little bit as well.
No, man, you covered it. Yeah, let's get to the second half. The more trophies to be handed out here. Obviously, again, some of those 6 o'clock games and some of those games that kind of turn into blowouts obviously kind of ended here already, but we still got plenty more in store for you, like Mr. Bradner, Coach Bradner's saying so far over here. My mind is already starting to shift to basketball mode here a little bit, so it's nice. We gotta get a football in the studio here. How do we not have a football? We'll get one. We gotta get a long night.
We gotta get a football in the studio. All right, so that'll wrap up the Host Connections halftime report. Thanks for tuning in. We'll have the RSN Zone for the second half coming up in just a little bit, right here on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
If you work with industrial, pneumatics, or hydraulics, and you're in need of maintenance or repair, you need the right connection. For over 20 years, Hose Connections in Hammond has been the premier leader in the hydraulics industry. Hose Connections is a one-stop shop for sales and service of pneumatics and hydraulics. Hose Connections continues to grow their network of industry contacts, which allows them to meet even your toughest expectations. To learn more, visit HoseConnectionsInc.com. Hose Connections in Hammond. Proven under pressure.
Attention Strack and Van Til Reward members. From October 16th to November 19th, spend $400 and you'll earn yourself a free turkey. That's right, a free honeysuckle turkey, between 10 to 14 pounds. Get ready to gobble up some savings this Thanksgiving season. Keep tabs on your performance in your rewards account. 2 offers per account, so make it count. Don't miss out on this turkey-tastic deal at Strack and Van Til.